Hello. I want to welcome each and every of you to another exciting new episode of Things Reality. I am your host, Pastor Udo Nwobi. Wow, for the past few weeks, we've been taking our time to look at the topic parental supervision. We explored a lot of things under it, and we brought to the understanding of both our parents and our teenagers the importance of supervising your teenagers. Hallelujah. For many of those teenagers who had issues or who complained about the fact, oh, my parents are too controlling, they're all up in my business, we made them realize that control, that supervision that they give to you is one side of their care. It's one way to show you that yes, they're concerned about you and that they want the best for you. We also helped parents realize the importance of that influence that has been given to them right in these early stages of the lives of their children. Sometimes parents may think you have all the time in the world to come, but through that series we took our time to reveal to parents that yes, now is the time to leverage upon the time you have with them, the influence that you have, and to make the best use of it. We watched some videos, we looked at stories, we looked at different examples of what is necessary and what must be done to ensure that children stay on the straight and the narrow. We took our time to discuss the kind of values parents might want to invest in their children, so that when you meet other parents, you'll be proud to say, yes, this is mine, this is what I've taken our time to invest and teach them so that they can get prepared for where they are going to. Now, having been done with their series, we move on to another totally new topic today, but still related with that series we just completed. It's titled Preparing Your Teenager for Life's Challenges. Now, when you say life's challenges, this is very real. There are so many of you, one thing I try to state is the fact is this: everyone's reality is not the same. But the truth of the matter is that everybody comes to the point where they must face challenges. Now, depending on the kind of background someone must have had, depending on the kind of the exposure, the kind of environment someone must have grown up in, what they had been taught, what has been cultivated in them, it creates in that teenager an understanding of how to deal with challenges that come to him or her. Whether you know it or not, your actions, whether active or passive, are inherently preparing your teenager to deal with life challenges. There are some things that if you don't take out time to address now or pay attention to, you realize that you're not helping your teenager in the long run. Challenges will always be there. You talk about success, you talk about failure, you talk about disappointments, you talk about different kind of situations that can arise. And the question is, when my teenager has to deal with those situations, what kind of response is he or she going to give? How are they going to react? How are they going to respond? Are they going to give up? Are they going to feel frustrated? Are they going to turn around, quit, run away, or just drop their hands and say, "Dear done"? Or are they going to be able to face it bravely and come out winning? So as a parent, as a guardian, as a teacher, you have teenagers with you right now who are looking up to you. Many are not fully aware of what the future holds for them. You who has gone through that process have a concrete and a significant role in preparing them in advance. So when they come to that point, they will know just what to do. They will know how to deal with it and come out without feeling like a failure. Hallelujah. Alright, we're going to be taking our time to read a few aspects of what is here in our script. Now, it says, in our own teenage years, now I'm trying to relate with your parents. In our own teenage years, many of us can vividly recall the fear of attempting something new, driven by the daunting prospect of failure. For teens today, this has not changed. The fear of failure is still present. The classroom is often a battleground of insecurities with the ever-looming question, what if I fail? This fear often manifests by choosing to fool around or not invest fully in the learning or the assigned project, creating the ready-made excuse of I wasn't even trying or does it really matter? We have all heard these words from our teens. But what if we went below the surface and discussed the fear of failure? You realize something. Many teenagers today, they give reasons or excuses why they don't want to try out something new. They may tell you, oh, I'm in the classroom, others are being involved. There was no need for me to be involved. I decided to hold back. I decided to do my own thing. But underneath, there is that feeling of if I try and I fail, how are my parents going to feel? How am I going to feel? And this I want to bring to you understanding today as parents, and also to every one of you as teenagers listening today. Do not be afraid to fail. Do not be afraid to fail the first time. Sometimes you may fail more than once. You may make a mistake. The most important thing is not just that mistake or that failure you experience. The question is how you rebound. If every time something new crops up and your first reaction is to turn away and never even try, you will not learn how to deal with challenges. Those new situations that come your way, those new exercises you ought to try out in the classrooms amongst your friends that your teachers are testing you on, they are stretching your capacity. They are broadening your horizon to what you can do, to what you can experience. So at this point now, failure is not something you ought to run away from. In fact, as parents, it is something that you ought to teach children to say, yes, it is a very real possibility. It is a very real possibility. And not just failure. Sometimes even the talk of, okay, you might not always be at the top of your class. You might not always be the best. Like take for example, I remember my father speaking to me during the course of my primary and secondary years in school. My sister and I had done extremely well academically. But now we are moving on to the university, that is the higher institution. And my father called us both aside and he said something striking. He was like, that you're going into a wider world and that you're going to meet different types of students. You're going to meet people who know who are smarter than you are. Yes, he said that. My father said that. Then you're going to meet those who perhaps work harder than you are, who are perhaps more academically inclined than you are, who might do better than you. So that coming from an environment where you felt like you've always been at the top, you're going to be meeting those who now are supposedly even better. In the same way, you're going to meet those who are going to have like poor background, poor home training, or perhaps no home training at all. So he was trying to let us know that if eventually we meet these students, we are not to be frustrated if they turned out to be better than us. Instead, we were to observe them and see what we could learn from them. So having listened to these words from my father, it was no surprise when I met those who were perhaps at the same level of us or those who were better than us. I was ready, I was prepared. So when I met them, or when we met them, we were not offended. We knew what to do. My father had prepared us before them. Meeting them was not a surprise. In fact, when he even made reference to those that, he was like, you're going to meet those who have not been raised the way I have raised you. So that when they respond to certain situations in a matter that seems different, understand that each student you're meeting represents a different type of parent, a different kind of upbringing, a different kind of home background. So imagine this. Imagine if all parents could think this way, could reason this way. Or now take for example, a parent who is used to their child coming out on top. Perhaps for 6 years consecutively, your child has ranked the best. And now suddenly a new student comes into school. You didn't know that student from anywhere. Your teenager did not know that student from anywhere else. And that student just happens to have a higher IQ or works harder and now comes out first and your teenager comes in second. Are you aware that it is wrong for you as a parent to begin to berate your child immediately without understanding the circumstances or the background of that student who has just surpassed your teenager? If you understand where that teenager was coming from, that student, the new student, and then you begin to put all the pressure on your own teenager, making them feel like as if they are a failure, and not telling them, oh, okay, it's like someone is new. How did they read? How did they study? Where did they come from? You ask these questions, so you understand what it is that your teenager was now dealing with in that semester or that term, where they suddenly dropped from first to second. So all these things are things you need to consider as a parent. If you realize all these things, you know what to do. You know how to be ready. You know what to tell your teenager, so that they don't become disappointed, they don't feel depressed. Because there's some teenagers that respond in a manner that can be very dangerous. They feel that anger emanating from you, that disappointment, and they don't know what to do next. They withdraw, they retract, and then they stop trying at all. This is something you do not want. Let's keep reading now. It says, failure is not the adversary often perceived it to be. Rather, it is a vital component in the journey of life, especially during the teenage years. It is in these formative years that teens learn not only to cope with failure, but also to view it as a learning opportunity in the construction of building their own resilience. Success. The ability to face setbacks head-on and find alternative pathways to achieve their goals becomes an invaluable life skill. Very true. You let them know, yes. So instead of you getting upset at your teenager who dropped from the first position to second position, take that as a teaching moment. I've always told as parents, learn to seize teaching moments. They come around not in a manner that you might have expected, but when they do, seize it and tell yourself, oh, my teenager is going to learn from this. I'm going to leverage on this. I'm going to ensure that something comes out of this experience that they have gone through. So you tell your teenager, okay, oh, how did you feel? Just ask it today. Perhaps you might like looking at the report card that the teenager has presented to you. Perhaps they came home crying and they are angry and they are even maybe shaking, scared to meet you. And you take a look at that report card and you sit your kid down and you ask, how does it feel coming in second? And they'll be like, wow, I don't think I've experienced this before. Imagine not being the one celebrated. Imagine the one not having to receive the best prize. And tell them, begin to ask them, how do they feel? What does it make them think? Does it make them want to work better? Does it make them appreciate the fact that for the past 6 years, someone else has also felt the way they are feeling right now, coming in second, third, fourth, fifth, despite how hard they themselves have tried also? It makes your teenager realize that they should not just see from their own perspective. You make them begin to see through the eyes of others. You bring to their understanding the place of empathy, the place of sympathy also. Because many children grow up without the feeling of empathy. They don't understand what it means to sympathize with others' struggles or challenges. Or think, for example, a teenager who has grown up in an extremely privileged home, lacking nothing. They have not known what it means to be hungry, to lack clothes, money for anything they needed. So sometimes they meet someone else whose parents have to calculate every naira, every single pound or dollar or yen or yuan that is spent. They don't know what it feels. Even as a rich parent, you're raising your child in that privileged home. It is important to make your child realize the value of money and what its presence and its absence can mean to someone. You can let them know. The fact that they have it available easily and readily to them should not make them abuse the privileges it offers to them. It should not make them look down on others who have to struggle to get what they need. So you bring the hope to them. You let them know and make them realize what happens when you come to a situation where you require money and you don't have. What do you do? How do you deal with that situation? Perhaps all their life they've known how to use your credit cards, they've known how to receive money, they receive allowances in a very high range. And perhaps what some of your kids receive as allowances, some kids don't get to see that kind of money in like 6 months or 1 year. But they are living, they are existing, they are coexisting at the same time with your children. And some are not even doing WhatsApp, perhaps academically. So all these are things you need to learn for. You must let your child know that failure is not the adversary. It can be something they can build upon, they can learn from. It happens. When it happens, how do they respond? What can they learn from it? We keep reading. Now it says success, the prize that often seems distant, is intricately tied to the effort one invests in a pursuit. The teenage years are not just a period of academic learning, but a crucial phase for practicing and honing that inherent grit that propels individuals forward in the face of frustration. Yes, it's that period when they use the word, they need to man up, they need to toughen up, they need to learn, they need to realize that life is not always going to be a bed of roses, they're not always going to have a soft landing. Success itself doesn't just happen. It doesn't just fall into their laps. It is something that someone puts an effort into. It is something that someone works for. You want to do well in school. You tell your kids you want to do well in school. You want to have a good result. You want to be the one picked in the school play. You need to rehearse your lines. You need to learn. You need to practice. You need to study. Relating with that, others are studying, others are being encouraged, others are stretching themselves, others are pushing themselves beyond what they thought they could do before and breaking into new levels. So you tell your teenager, oh, perhaps you're good at this level already, but don't just settle for this. You can do better. You can try hard. You encourage them, you motivate them. You try to stimulate them as often as possible in the right way and in a positive manner. This is very careful. This is very important. In a right way and in a positive manner. It matters that you don't push them into becoming over-pressured, such that they begin to not make mistakes that you are trying to avoid in the first place. Don't make them feel so self-conscious that they begin to hate themselves, hate their own abilities, or hate the results that they are bringing in. No. That is why as a parent, you must be heavily involved in what your child is doing. It's when you tell yourself that, no, I don't care, I don't want to be involved, your teenager can spiral down into becoming anything. If you're lucky, they become good at what they do. If you're not, something else happens. So success itself is worked towards. And in that process of when they fail, they make mistakes, it is time to build that grit. It's time to be what we call that fighting spirit, where a teenager doesn't just give up. They fall down, just like a kid who falls down at the playground. He falls down, he realizes that he's, injured his knees. He looks around, no one comes running. He gets up and he keeps on playing. He realizes the injury is not going to kill me. There's a lot out there to keep doing. I stand up, I dust it off, and I continue. So it's that feeling of you fall, but most importantly, that you stand up and rise again, to keep trying, to keep moving forward. Remember your teenagers. God has called them to make progress. God has called them to advance by His Spirit. He doesn't want them to fail. Even when they fall, the Lord stands there as a parent, because remember that God is a parent too. To encourage them, to motivate them. And that is a role you also have to play. All right, before we continue, we're going to go on a quick break, and when we return, we will continue. I want you to remember that this is Teens Reality. We want to hear from you, your questions, your opinions, any issues that you're dealing with as a teenager, or the challenges that you yourself are facing as a parent raising your teenager. The number to reach out to us on is +234 813-929-2708, or send an email to teensreality@lifechangerscoach.org. We want to hear from you. Now do stay tuned till we're back. Hello, I want to welcome each and every of you to the maiden edition of Teens Reality TV show. I am your host, Pastor Udo. Our vision is to create a new brand of teenagers who can get to understand who they are, who they were created to be by God, and helping them navigate this life easily by His help. It is so important. Welcome back from that quick break. Now we'll continue reading. It says, as parents, your role in this process is both crucial and delicate. It requires you to navigate the fine line between support and intervention. These two words are not the same. There are some times when your support is required. There are some times when your intervention is required. If you don't understand the difference between when these two things are required, you can make a mistake in offering your child what they need. Like, take for example, your child is in a situation where they are being bullied relentlessly. In fact, your child is coming home with obvious injuries on their body. At that moment, it requires your intervention. You need to go down to the school. You need to go down to the location where it is that your child happened to have sustained those injuries. Your intervention, your physical intervention as a parent is required at that moment. You cannot afford to be silent. In fact, some parents will not be able to tell you, toughen up, man up, fight. No, you are not encouraged to tell them to be in a fight at that moment. No. First of all, you must show up physically to inquire and find out, why should this be happening to my kid? He is sent perhaps to study, to play, to mingle with other students, and now he's coming home all bruised, beaten up, looking terrible, feeling down and depressed, or perhaps even going the suicidal way. No. Or it might even be, because some never even think about this, that when a kid becomes bullied so much, he or she might tend to become a bully himself also. Might tend to become violent and think that violence is the answer to everything. So if at that moment you as a parent don't step up to intervene and do what is necessary, you keep silent and you expect your child to just deal with it themselves. Meanwhile, they are obviously crying out for assistance. They are crying out for help. You might end up raising a teenager who thinks it's okay. Oh, I was not strong enough. That's why I was beaten up. Or maybe when I'm eventually strong, if I can beat up on others who are weaker than I am. You might end up creating a teenager who has that kind of mindset, and that you don't want. You end up raising a child to think violence is acceptable, as long as perhaps you're not getting caught, nobody is punishing you, nobody is speaking out about the matter. Now, we've understood where your intervention is required. Now let's look at the word support. If your teenager comes home now, let's give that same example we had given before, and I told you that they had dropped in their class ranking because some other person did better than they did. At this moment, your physical intervention is not required in school. You don't need to go up and go shouting at the teacher like, what happened? Why is it that my child came in fourth instead of second or third or first or what have you? And you begin to think that maybe your loud voices raised will make the teacher become afraid and adjust your teenager's scores. No. At that moment, what your teenager needs from you is your support. When I thought you begin to ask questions, what happened? Did you find any particular subject especially challenging? Were the exams quite different, or were they more difficult or harder than they usually used to be? Did you find that you were not as prepared as you wanted to be? Were you tired? Or your support, your presence to them, personally there. your support is needed there. That's when your support is needed. I'm just giving examples. There are a whole lot of other examples that we're giving. But I just wanted to show you these two lines, these two examples to show you the difference between support and intervention. When intervention is offered in the place of support, you cripple that child and make them unable to stand on their own. When support is offered in place of intervention, you make that child not learn what they're supposed to learn. They pick up something else that was wrong. And a totally wrong mindset is formed in them. That's not what you want as parents. So, as parents, this is the time where the foundations of resilience are laid, fostering the mindset that success is not merely the absence of failure, but the result of persistent effort and determination. So as you build them, as you teach them these things, you are laying the foundation of resilience. It's just like when you see the rubber band's elasticity, the ability to be stretched and then retract, come back to its original position. You understand it where you're testing its capacity, you're testing its limits, the kind of pressure it can deal with. You understand? So you let your child know that, oh, I know that we've tried to help you as much as possible. Now we're making you realize that you can face pressure and it will not kill you. And in fact, we're going to be the ones offering you those chances to be stretched, to be increased beyond measure. You understand? To be increased beyond measure. And not to make a mistake. Not to make a mistake. So you let them know, I'm there, I'm seeing what you're going through, I'm seeing what you're facing. But now I want you to learn more. I want you to build up your resilience, your ability to deal with situations, your ability to deal with issues. So those teenage years are the most crucial time, it's the crucial time for them. And as teenagers, please be willing to embrace all your parents are teaching you. Be willing to learn. Challenges are so real. If you allow your parents to prepare you for it, when you eventually get to the day where you must face them yourselves, you will find that you are ready, able to overcome it and win while doing so. So, allowing your teenagers, so we said as parents, your role in this process is both crucial and delicate. Allowing your teenagers the space to experience failure is an essential aspect of their growth. Stepping back and resisting the urge to shield them from every stumble is not a sign of neglect, but rather a strategic move to equip them for the challenges of the real world. Intervening too frequently creates the illusion of success for your teens, which robs them of the opportunity to develop the critical skills needed to navigate life independently. There are some things they must learn by themselves. So until you allow them the opportunity and the freedom to navigate where they need to navigate independently, they will not learn those life skills. They will not learn how to deal with those situations without having to every time look back and turn to mom or dad for help. And you don't need to want to raise a child who is wholly dependent upon you for the rest of their life. Alright, we're going to be stopping here today, but I believe we've been able to establish this opening statement of how important it is to prepare your teenager for life challenges, how to deal with it. It happens. It happened to you. It's going to happen to them. The question is, are they going to be ready to face it when it does? And if they are you going to be one who prepared them to deal with it? Alright. Thank you so much for staying tuned today. I've enjoyed every one of your comments. I've enjoyed every one of you who has been a faithful follower. This is still Life Changers TV on YouTube. We urge and encourage you to subscribe, like, and follow. Invite everyone you know to follow along, not just on this our show Teenage Reality, but on every one of the other content that has been made available to you through this platform. Remember, I am your host, Pastor Udunwubi, and I'm saying to you, keep doing the best that you do with the help of the Lord. Hello, I want to welcome each and every of you to the maiden edition of Teens Reality TV show. I am your host, Pastor Udo. Our vision is to create a new brand of teenagers who can get to understand who they are, who they were created to be by God, and helping them navigate this life easily by His help. It is so important